Hey friends, what up? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Chav Beis, Daf 22 of Masechta Ksubis. Friends, more Pesha Asu Pesha Yitir kind of stuff. What do you want me to tell you? Says the Mishnah, Ha'isha she'amra Eishes ish oyisi v'grusha oni ne'emenes she'pesha asu pesha yitir. If you have a woman who says, look, I was married. Okay, so basically by saying she's married, she can't get remarried if she's a married woman. But I'm divorced. Oh, okay. So she's believed she'pesha asu pesha yitir. Right? She's the one who said that she's asur, but then she also says that she's mutter. So beseder, fine. But if there are witnesses who come and say, look, this woman was an Eishes Ish, and then she says, Vi omeres grusha ani, but she says, yes, but I'm divorced, well then ein an emenes, then she's not believed. Amra nishbeisi v'torah ani, if she says, look, I was taken captive, but I'm pure, I'm tahor, I did not have relations with any of my captors. So she's believed. Wait, what? Amra nishbeis v'torah ani ne'emenes, she's believed. She'pesha also a pesha yitir, that she says that she was taken captive, but she also says that she's pure, that she's tahora. Ve'im yesh edim shenishbeis, but if there are witnesses who says that she was taken into captivity, ve'omer is tahora ani, she says yes, but I'm tahora in an emenes, then she is not believed. Ve'im mishaniseis bo edim arezelo tetzei, but if the witnesses came after she already got married, so then she can stay married, and the Gemara is going to discuss if that's talking about in the situation where she's talking about being divorced or being tahora. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Asi, says Rav Asi, Minayin la pesha asu a pesha iter min Torah. Where do we see in the Torah this concept of ha pesha asar hu ha pesha iter? Shneimar, as the pasuk says, biti nosati leisha ze leisha, that pasuk in the context of Motzi Shemra, when a fellow gets married and he tries to make the argument that his wife had a relationship after Erusin, and he's not telling the truth. So it says, so then the father of the daughter says that I gave my daughter to this man as a wife. The ish asra hazeh itira, that when he says as biti nasati laish, that when he says that I gave my daughter as a husband to a fellow, so he basically says that she is asura to everybody. She's a married woman. She's asura to everybody. Hazeh, this fellow, that she's permitted to him. Right? So he's making her asura to everybody, but permitted to this one fellow. So lama likra, to which the Gemara says, yeah, but why do I need a pasuk to teach me a pesha asura, a pesha itir? Isn't it logical? Svaru, it's logical. Hu asra, hu sharila. He's making her asur, and he's also making her permitted. If he says that it's asur, you can also say it's permitted. Ella ki itzir kralich d'Ravhuna amarav. Rather, the pasuk is for the teaching. Teaches me about what Rav Huna amarav says. The Rav Huna amarav minayin la'av shenemon leser is bito minatere. How do I know that a father is able to that he could marry her off and make her asur to everybody else? Shenemar is biti nasat elish, that I gave my my daughter to a fellow as a wife, and therefore he's able to marry off his daughter and make her also to all men other than the fellow who he married her off to. Hazeh lamali, so he says, is biti nasati leish, that teaches that a father is able to be mekadesh his daughter. What do I learn from Hazeh? So mi baile lich de Tani Rab Yonah, for Rab Yonah teaches the Tani Rab Yonah as biti nasati leish hazeh v'lo liyavam, that motzi shemra is shayach for the husband, but not for the yavam. What does that mean? So what's motzi shemra? Motzi shemra is a situation where, Ruvain gets married to Sarah, and then they have relations, and he makes the argument that she was not a besula. Instead, she had a relationship with someone after Erusin, and she gets skila, but then he's not telling the truth, so he has to pay 100 silver coins, and they stay married, whatever it is. This whole situation of motzi shemra applies to the husband, but not to the yavam. So if they get married, right? Reuven gets married to Sarah, and then before they have an opportunity to have bia, he dies. So then there's yibum, and Sarah needs to marry Shimon. Shimon then makes this claim, yes, she's not a Besula, she had relations with somebody after Erisin from my brother, and Motzi Shemra doesn't apply to the Yavim. So like the whole Motzi Shemra situation wouldn't be in that case anymore. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Isha she'amra eishes ish ani, if a woman says, look, I am a married woman, because of amra pnuya ani, and then she does a 180, and she says, no, I'm not a married woman, I am a single woman. Ne'emenis, she is believed. Huh? Why is she believed to say that she is a single woman? She made herself asura when she said that she is a married woman. Right? Meaning, unlike, if she says that she's married but she's divorced, okay, so she made herself asur by saying she's married, but then she made her mutter by saying that she got out of the marriage by getting divorced. But if she said that she's married, and then she retracts and said, no, I'm not married, I'm single, that's not sort of pesha asur or pesha hitir. It wasn't being matir the marriage. She was just contradicting herself. So, Amarave by Rav Huna Kigon shenosna amasla l'dvareh. Well, it's talking about a situation where she explained why she first said that she was married and then later retracted to say that she's not married. Tanan Amiyach, we also learn in a price like this. Amr, she said, Eishes ish ani, that if she says that she's a married woman, because of Amr pnuya ani, and then she says that she's a single woman, menace, she's not believed, because she's just, going 180 and retracting what she said. But if she gives a reason, a rationale for why she went 180, for why she first said that she's married and then said that she's single, well then she's believed. There was There was a story with an adult woman, Shaisa Gedola Benoy, that she was very, very beautiful. V'kafzu aleh b'nei adam l'katshe, and all the boys wanted to marry her. V'amar loim mikudeshes anisha. So she said, "Sorry, boys, I'm married." Liam amda v'kidshes atzma, and then at some later point she got married. Amar l'chacham, the chacham said, "Mara isa la'asaskin. How come you told everybody that you're married if it's not true?" Amar loim, she said to them, "Batchila shebo ole anoshim she'ena mehuganim." Look, initially nudniks were trying to get married to me, so I said, look, I'm married already, leave me alone. But now that more favorable individuals were showing interest in me, so I just went ahead and got married. So meaning she explained that the reason why she initially said she was married was just so that those buggers would stop bugging. And this halacha, Rav Acha Sarabira mentioned to the Chachamim in Usha, V'amru, and they said, Imnos namasla d'vareh ne'emenes, that yes, if she gives a rationale for why she said what she said, then she's believed. Ba minei Shmuel merav, Shmuel asked the kasha from Rav, Omrut me'ani v'chazav mator ani mau. What if a wife says to her husband, I'm a nida, therefore we cannot have bia, but then she retracts and says, no, she's actually not a nida. So Omar lei abazo. So Rav says, look, also here, im nosna amasal dvareh ne'emenes, if she gave a rationale, a reason for why she said that she was a nida, even though she wasn't. So if she gives a reason, so then we could believe her. Tana mishme minei arbaim zimnin. Shmuel then learned this halacha from Rav 40 times. I guess he was very particularly interested in this halacha. But even so, even though Shmuel learned this halacha 40 times from Rav, that if his wife says that she's a nida, but then gives a reason why, then she says that she isn't a nida, gave a reason why she said she was a nida. Even though Shmuel learned from Rav 40 times that the halacha is that we could believe her, nonetheless, Shmuel didn't pass like that for himself. That I guess there was a situation where Shmuel's wife said that she was a nida and then retracted for some reason, and then, but nonetheless, Shmuel said, look, just go to the mikveh before we have beer. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Shnaim omim meis, v'shnaim omim lo meis. If you have two witnesses who testified that a woman's husband is dead, Shnaim omim lo meis, right? And then two of them are saying, wait, stop, don't do anything, don't get married, your husband is still alive. Shnaim omim is garsha. Two witnesses testify that this woman is divorced. v'shnayim omrim lo nizgarsha. But 2 other witnesses testify that she is not divorced, that she is married. Harezo lo tinase. So in both of these cases, both by the divorce and by the death, she should not get married, right? You have 2 witnesses saying she's the husband's dead, 2 witnesses say he's alive, 2 witnesses say that she's divorced, 2 witnesses say she's not divorced. She cannot get remarried. V'imnises lo teitze. But if she does get married, so beseder, they could stay together. Rabbi Menachem Bar Yossi Omer teitze. Rabbi Menachem Bar Yossi says no. Even if they already got married, they cannot remain together. Omer Rabbi Menachem Bar Yossi Emose Ani Omer teitze. And says Rabbi Menachem Bar Yossi, when do I say that they cannot remain married? Bisman shebo eidim v'achar kach nises. If both sets of witnesses had already come and then she got married, right? So meaning if 2 witnesses said that her husband's dead, and then 2 witnesses said, wait, your husband's alive, and then she got married even after knowing that there are 2 witnesses saying that her husband's alive, they cannot stay together. But if 2 witnesses said that her husband is dead, so she got married, so she got remarried, and then 2 witnesses come and say, no, your husband's alive, so then lo teitze, she could stay married because she's already married. But michte, effect the Gemara. Trey v'trei ninu. We saw this in Masechta Yevamos. I don't understand. 1 second. 2 witnesses said that her husband is dead. So she went and she got remarried. 2 other witnesses now come and say your husband's alive. So 2 say he's dead. 2 say he's alive. What are you supposed to do? If she remains married to her second husband, they're going to have to bring an Osham Tali, right? Meaning they don't know. Is she an Eishes Ish? Is she not? Is her husband alive? Is he dead? Maybe she's an Eishes Ish. Maybe she's not allowed to be married to this second husband. And therefore, if they sleep together, they would have to bring an Osham Tali. They can't remain in a marriage where they'll have to bring an Osham Tali if they have Bia. So, Amr of Sheishes, Kigon Shenises Lechod Me'edea. Says of Sheishes, well, it's talking about a situation where who she got remarried to? She got remarried to one of the witnesses who said that her husband's dead. And therefore, you would only bring an Ashram Talui in a situation, right? An Ashram Talui is a guilt offering that you bring when you're uncertain if you're actually violating an Avera or not, right? Meaning she doesn't know in this case, is her husband dead or is her husband alive? Now, the thing is, you only bring an Ashram Talui if you're actually uncertain. But over here, he is certain. He's one of the witnesses who said that she was dead, that the husband's dead. And therefore, he's certain that the husband is dead, and therefore, he would not bring an Ashram Tali. But he gufa b'Ashram Tali, but she would have to bring an Ashram Tali, because she doesn't know. Kaima, so B'Omer is barley. She also says, I'm certain that my husband's dead, because if he was alive, he would have come back. And therefore, they're both certain that the husband is dead, and that is why there is no Ashram Tali. And if there's no Ashram Tali, that's why they'd be allowed to remain married. Omer Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Shnaim Omrim Meis, V'Shnaim Omrim Lo Meis. 2 witnesses say the husband is dead. 2 witnesses say the husband is not dead. Hareza Lo Tina. I'll say the sense. She says she should not get remarried. V'Imni says Lo Teitze, but if she gets remarried, she doesn't need to leave. She could stay remarried. Shnaim Omrim Nizgarsha, V'Shnaim Omrim Lo Nizgarsha. 2 witnesses say that she got divorced. 2 witnesses say she did not get divorced. Hareza Lo Tina. Say she should not get remarried. V'Imni says Teitze. Now, in this case, if she did get married, she cannot remain married to him. Maishna Resho, Maishna Seifa. How come by the conflicting testimonies about the husband being dead, she could remain married, but in the conflicting testimonies about her being divorced, she cannot remain remarried. So Amar Abai Tirgma Be'ed Echod. So Abai says, look, you can explain that this is actually talking about one witness, meaning one witness came and said that her husband's dead. One witness came and said that her husband's alive. In the meantime, she got remarried. And so we're saying she could stay married. Now, also we're talking about where one witness says that she's divorced. Another witness says that she's not divorced. In the meantime, she gets married. She cannot remain married. So Eid Echad Omer Meis, that when one witness comes and says that her husband's dead, Heimnu Rabbanon Kivei Trey, the rabbis believe him as if he was 2 witnesses. Uchidu Ula de Amar Ula, and it's like Ula says, Kol Makom she'emina Torah Eid Echad Hare Kan Shnaim. That whenever the Torah sort of believes or gives sort of validity to one witness, so we treat it as if as if it's two witnesses, right? So therefore, right, when it comes to testifying that a woman's husband is dead to allow her to get remarried, so the Torah says that, right, we assume that one witness is enough. And therefore, if one witness is enough, we treat that one witness as if he was two witnesses. And then when one witness comes and says, actually, he's still alive, well, that's only one. Right? Meaning, if we sort of rely upon the one witness who says that the husband's dead, so we treat that witness as if he's two witnesses. Then when one witness says that he's still alive, it's 1 against 2, and therefore we don't trust the second one, we don't rely upon the second one, and she can remain married. If that's the case, well, if that's the case, well then we should, we said that she shouldn't get married, but if she did, she can remain married. What do you mean? If one witness comes and says that the husband is dead, and we're treating him like 2, and then one witness says that he's alive, he's 1 against 2. Even the chatchila, she should be able to get remarried. So Mishum de Rav Asi, Damar Basi, Haser Bimcha Ikshus Peh, that remove from yourself sort of crooked things, yentas, maybe speak stuff, Mulizus Vasai Marchik Mimeka, and any gossip, remove from you, meaning, though you don't want to create a situation where, one witness is saying that the husband's dead, the other one's saying the husband's alive, and she's getting remarried. Imagine what the yentas are going to talk about. So therefore, really it would be better to not jump the gun. But if she got remarried, so beseder, she could remain married. Seifa eid echad omer nizgarsha, ve'ed echad omer lo nizgarsha. Now in the Seifa, one witness is saying that she got divorced, one witness is saying that she didn't get divorced. Well, tarvayu be'eshes ish kamasade, both witnesses are agreeing that at one point she was married, right? Both witnesses are agreeing that she was married, but one of them says that, but she got divorced. Now one of them is saying that she got divorced, but meaning both of them are agreeing that she was an Eishasish, that she was married. One of them is now saying, but she got divorced. Well, that's the testimony of one against the testimony of two who were saying that she was married. Therefore, we don't believe the testimony of the individual who's saying that she got divorced, and therefore, even if she got remarried, she would not be able to remain married. Rava Omar says, Rava l'olam trei v'treininu. Rava disagrees with Abaye and says, no, it's not talking about one witness. It's talking about two witnesses. Two witnesses said that the husband's dead. Two witnesses said the husband's alive. Two witnesses say that she's divorced. Two witnesses say that she's not divorced. So it says, Rava l'olam trei v'treininu. It's 2 against 2. V'ro'a Reb Yochanan dvarav shel Reb Menachem bar Yossi b'gerishin v'lo b'misa. And Reb Yochanan agrees with Reb Menachem bar Yossi, who says that they could remain together. That Teitze, right? Reb Menachem bar Yossi said Teitze, that they cannot remain together by divorce, but not by death. By death, he said that they could remain together, right? Two witnesses say that the husband's dead, two witnesses say the husband's alive, they could remain together, right? Meaning she gets remarried, they could remain together. Two witnesses said that they're divorced, two witnesses said that they're not divorced. If she gets remarried, they cannot remain together. So my time, how come? Misa ena yuchola makhashto. The reason is because by death, she could always, she wouldn't be able to contradict it, right? Meaning, by death, if the husband, right, two witnesses say that the husband's dead, two witnesses say that the husband's alive. Now the thing is, when it comes to death, if the guy shows up the next day, she can't say, look, you're really dead. I mean, clearly he's not, he's alive. And therefore, because there's no way to if it's not true, she'd be kind of stuck. So therefore, she's really only going to get married if she knows that that the husband's really dead. Whereas by divorce, if the guy shows up and he says, "What do you mean we're still married?" she could still sort of argue and say, "No, we are divorced," and therefore, she might be more willing to get remarried, even if they weren't really divorced, because she can just sort of argue against it. So again, she can't contradict, death. Meaning, if he comes up and he's alive, if he comes back and he's alive, so he's clearly alive. Whereas Gerish and Yicholim Akashto, she can always sort of contest the divorce, if he challenges it, and therefore we don't allow her to get remarried, and if she does, she can't remain married. Would she really be able to look her husband in the eyes and say that we got divorced when they really didn't? Rav Amnuna says that if a woman says to her husband that you divorced me, she's believed because that we assume that a woman would not be so brazen as to sort of deny directly to her husband to say directly to her husband that they got divorced when really they didn't. So therefore, what do you mean that, right, we're assuming that she would be able to just deny that, not deny, but that she would be able to claim that they got divorced even though they didn't? But I thought we said that a woman wouldn't do that. So, which the Gemara says, well, yeah, in a situation where she doesn't have witnesses that are testifying that they're divorced, so yeah, she wouldn't be brazen enough to say that we're divorced when they're really not. But here there are witnesses who are testifying that she's divorced, so it sort of gives her the confidence to be able to say we got divorced even though maybe they didn't, and therefore we can't allow her to get remarried, and if she does get remarried, they cannot remain together. Ravasi Amar says, Ravasi Kigon de Amre Edim Achshav Meis Achshav Gersha, says Ravasi, it's talking about that when the witnesses say that the husband died, it means he died today. When the witnesses say that they got divorced, it means they got divorced today. And therefore, Misa deleka levura, when it comes to death, which you can't really sort of like prove it, let's go weiter, Gerishin ika levura. But Gerishin, divorce, you could prove it, because we could say, show us your get, right? Meaning, the witnesses are coming and saying she got divorced today. And therefore, well, if she really got divorced today, well then, bring out your divorce document, bring out your get. You just got it today. There wasn't enough time to lose it. If you got divorced, come and prove it to us. And if you can't prove it to us, then we cannot assume that you're divorced, and therefore you cannot remain married. As opposed to death, it's, hard, it's not like she has a document to prove that he's dead. And therefore, if witnesses say he's dead, and she got remarried based on that testimony, she could remain married. Friends, that was Daf Chav Beis of Masechta Ksubis. And we kind of went weiter in a Pesha also, a Pesha Hitir. We talked about if she says that she's married, but then she got divorced, or if she says that she was taken captivity, but she's Tahora. So we said that she's believed, because a Pesha also, a Pesha Hitir. We also discussed the concept of an amasla, of like an excuse, that if she says that she was married, but then she says that she wasn't married, and she gave a reason for it, such as, people were like trying to marry her, and she just wanted to be left alone. She said she was married, so we could believe her. And then we talked about situations when, witnesses come and say that her husband's dead, witnesses come and say that her husband's really alive, or that witnesses say that she's divorced, and then witnesses say that she's still married. So initially we had said that she shouldn't get remarried, but if she does get remarried, then she could remain married. We saw Rabbi Yochanan who makes a distinction between if two witnesses are testifying that her husband's dead versus if they're testifying that she is divorced. That if they're testifying that he's dead and she gets remarried, so then she could remain married. But if they testify that she got divorced, and then other witnesses testify that she's still married, so then if she got remarried, she cannot remain married. We saw three ways to understand the distinction. Abaye said it's talking about, well, one witness is testifying in each case, therefore when the one witness is testifying that the husband is dead, well, we believe one witness to say that the husband's dead, and therefore we believe him as if he's two, and that's why she can remain married. Whereas when it comes to divorce, we can't just trust this one witness to say that she's divorced, and therefore she cannot remain married. Rava says that it's actually talking about 2 against 2. The difference, right? But the difference is that when it comes to death, she could remain married because, if he shows up the next day, then clearly he's alive, right? And there's not much that she could do about that, and therefore she's going to make sure that he's really dead. Whereas when it comes to divorce, even if she didn't get divorced, she can always challenge him and say, "You divorced me," even if he didn't. And we saw the opinion of Rav Ashi, who said that it's talking about when they said that she got divorced today. And therefore, if she got divorced today, well, then just show us your document. If you don't have a get, then we cannot assume that you got divorced. And then Therefore, you cannot remain married. Friends, that was the Chav Beis of Masechta Ksubis. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.